Now, if you want to be an absolute poker millionaire, which I guarantee a lot of people listening to this want to be, you have to be taking all of these variables into account.
Welcome to the mushroom paradise, boys.
Get your sets out in the chat, boys. Oh, Arriba. This over-fetishization of blockers overtaken the poker world. Smith 3-bets Queen 9 suited, which is what in the industry we call a little bit disrespectful.
Woohoo! Get you out in the chat.
Alright guys, let's analyze high stakes poker.
Like
Dan Smith, great guy. Berkey, love him.
He's checked the river.
He's
and
got
Smith says all in.
a website. Solve for why. Solve for why, that's the one. Alright, so that's the straddle. He's under the gun, I assume 6-handed, so plus 1 because there's a straddle.
One of the
We've got
line
six-
items on
We've got a min raise.
this group's resume.
Oh, now everybody wants.
I actually agree with the min raise here. And the reason I agree with the min raise is that I think against the min raise, Negreanu specifically is going to be over folding. And so I think again with Negreanu in the straddle here, I think min raise is pretty legit.
Wants to play.
Usually you want to be going a bit bigger. Okay, so Smith 3-bets Queen 9 suited, which is what in the industry we call a little bit disrespectful. They're not even 100 big steep because the straddle. 3-betting MP versus +1, or like, what is that? Yeah, these positions is just
1.4
pretty
million
disrespectful in
at
general.
said Seaver.
With Queen 9 suited. Okay, so the fact that this is a hand that doesn't just go open 3-bet fold tells me that there was probably some slight, and I've got nothing against, maybe he's got some live tails, maybe he's got his own strategy. Personally, I would just be mucking this. Jack 8 suited, 100% in the muck. There we go. Berkey does block jacks and ace 8 suit. He blocks the hands that dominate him. So perhaps he can justify a call. Anyone watching that was a joke. Don't call this.
Berkey
So
has
he
enough
does
to
go
continue.
for a call.
I was in a game. I didn't know.
Other spots.
I feel like no one I know.
Shout
has
out
won
to
the biggest pot
Mutuzang.
again.
What's up, brother?
I feel the answer to who did you play your biggest pot again?
So we go for a small c-bet here. You don't need to go too big in these spots when the SPR is so small. So we have an SPR of like 4.5, meaning the stack to pot ratio. So consider how much is in the pot versus how much is in the effective stack, which is 54k, the smallest stack out of the two. You don't need to be going very big on the flop, the turn, and the river to be going all in. So you can get away with going quite small in a lot of these spots. I would expect Dan Smith to be pretty balanced in his flop sizing. So Berkey's obviously calling. You don't really want to get it in here when you can just be absolutely butt fucked by some bigger flush draws and you're not doing so well against overpairs. You know, whatever. You probably don't want to be shoving unless the SPR is a little bit smaller. So the turn's an 8, and now you're Dan Smith. What are we doing? Well, we've just picked up equity. Personally, if I'm in Dan Smith's shoes, if I'm in Dan Smith's hat, I want to be thinking, what is Berkey's range and what am I going to be doing about it? So let's go through Berkey's range here just for a second. He can have a set. I think he'd definitely play a set like this. I think he can have 10s, 5s, and deuces. He can have 10x, so ace 10 suited, king 10 suited, queen 10 suited, jack 10 suited, 10-9 suited, and apparently 10-8 suited, given that he has jack 8 suited. I don't know if he has 10-7 suited. I don't know what's going on there. He can have 9s, he can have 8s, which again is a set. He can have 7s, he can have 6s, he can have 4s, he can have 3s. Now he can have some ace highs. Does he ever flat ace king pre? I don't know. He shouldn't, given the stack to pot ratio and given how wide Smith is 3-betting him, but maybe he does. Ace queen off, I think he probably has all 16 combos off. I don't know whether he has ace jack off. If he does have ace jack off, that's a punt pre by him. So given all of that, I would say, okay, I can make 3s, 4s, 6s, 7s, ace king, ace queen, and ace jack of spades. And maybe if he has some just like other hands in there that we don't expect him to have, I can make all of them fold on the turn. Now, is that a large enough proportion of his entire range to justify betting the turn, given that we've picked up some equity? Personally, I think it is. Now, it's going to be a spot where it's very, very easy for Dan to be over bluffing here. If he has Queen 9 suited, he's probably also got Jack 9 suited. He's probably also got 6-7 suited, 9-7 suited. He'll have to like King Jack of Hearts, stuff like that. There's probably going to be a ton of bluffs and value hands. He can probably have King 10 upwards. I imagine he's probably over bluffing in this spot, but it's probably a good spot to be over bluffing a bit, at least on the turn. So if I'm in Dan's shoes here, there's 50k left, 20k in the pot. What size are we going, guys? Guys, get your sizes out in the chat. Are we checking? And if we're betting, what size are we going? So personally, I'm going pretty small on this turn. I'm going to be thinking, what's the smallest size that I can go that pocket 7s will fold? Because 7s is the best hand out of all of the hands that I think I can make fold on the turn. And I've got a bluff. I don't want to be playing a bigger pot than I have to. So I wouldn't go 6k. Just put that out there. If I go 6k, suddenly it looks very, very likely that I don't have aces, because how am I going to get all in the river? It has to look at least like it could be balanced. So we're on the turn here. What would 7s fold to? Personally, I'm going like 9,800, 10.6, something like that. Maybe something like 12, depending on the player. Now, Berkey might be a bit more sticky, in which case we might need to go something like 13.8. So it doesn't matter what the actual answer is. Nobody knows what the best size to go on this turn is. You can ask any poker player in the world. Not a single person, including their PO solvers, know what the best size to go on this turn is. And this is really important if you want to understand poker. So if you guys are thinking, I want to make XYZ fold, and that's why I'm going to go this size, you're on the right track. So personally, I would probably barrel something along the lines of, against Berkey, I'll probably go a bit bigger, actually, maybe like 12.8k.
Playing own it. He just called, obviously.
Fire's
Flop comes
13.5.
King Jack 7, Rainbow. That's worst scenario. Jam on him. He tanks forever and calls. He has King Jack. We run it twice.
Oh my
7-7.
Oh my god. Jeez.
We have 37k behind, or Berkey has 37k behind. And we have Queen High on the river. Berkey's going to be checking it over to us. Now, what do we do? Is the question. Now, I'm pretty sure game theory is going to tell you to shove this. The reason is, we haven't got hearts in our hand. Pretty fucking handy. Not blocking those folds. But we're not thinking about this stuff. We're not thinking about these things. We're thinking about what can we make fold. Now, what is Berkey's range here? He can have some ace-X of hearts. Very, very relevant. He might even have something as wide as ace-3 of hearts, which is wild. So like ace-3 of hearts, ace-4 of hearts, ace-6 of hearts, ace-7 of hearts, ace-8 of hearts, ace-9, ace-jack, ace-queen, and probably not ace-king. I don't think we put that in. So that's 8 combos already. Now, he can have 8x of hearts. Very relevant. He can have 8-7. Apparently he can have jack-8. Didn't fucking know, but he can have 8-9. Ace-2 hearts is in there, but we're counting the hands that we can make fold first. Very, very relevant. That people like folding their hearts in these spots. They're just like blockers and shit. Even though we're not going to be playing GTO, we've got to be able to understand it. Now, what else can he have? Can he have Queen Jack of hearts? I think that's possible, but he probably shoves the turn. Can he have King Jack and King Queen of hearts? Definitely possible. So there's another couple of combos there. I think the other heart combos are just going to be check, shove, and turn because they have combo draws and no showdown value. So now, other hands that Berkey can have. He can have ace-10 suited, 3 combos. He can have king-10 suited, 3 combos. He can have queen-10 suited, 2 combos because we've got the queen of diamonds. He can have jack-10 suited, 10-9 suited, another 5 there. Probably 10-8 suited as well. So there's another 2 there. And then he can have sets. And I think that he probably just has all the sets. I think he has 10s, 5s, 8s, and deuces at 100% frequency here. So the question is, when you add all of those up, are we getting enough folds by betting 37k into 46k? Now, it doesn't need to work super often for it to be a profitable shove. Personally, I think it's really, really easy for us to turn up with enough bluffs here or even be bluffing too much. So from Berkey's perspective, I'd expect to see a lot of hero calls. So personally, I wouldn't shove this river, but let's see what Dan Smith would do.
The universe about drawing.
All in.
Just
Oh, it's like the easiest jam ever on that river. He's checked the river, and Smith says all in. Pre-flop, Berkey made it 1,600 in the straddled pot. Smith made it 5,200. Berkey called. He check called 3,500 on the flop
Anyone get any reads there?
with the hard draw.
Anyone see anything on Dan Smith? We got a very nice close
In the
up.
straddled pot.
Can we
Smith
get
made
any
it 5,200.
live
Berkey
reads?
called. He check called 3,500 on the flop with the hard draw. Picked up an 8 on the turn.
That's some
Check
stuff.
called 13-5. And on the river, he lets it go.
Ta-da!
God, I had you.
E9 bluff.
Hold on.
Love the show.
Ta-da!
He blinks a lot anyway.
Smith has
He's a blinky dude. So I know that if any of my close circle of coachees are out there, they will have all got a read there on the river if they're paying attention. Because I've told them a certain tell that is very, very, very specific. And again, I don't like telling people all of these things because they're extraordinarily valuable. And so it's not in my best interest to be telling everyone, but when you are looking at these footages, instead of just being like, sick bluff, try and look when they zoom in on the player that's all in. Try and just get a feel for it. Even try and cover their whole cards so you don't know whether or not they're bluffing, and then try and make a decision based on that. The amount of time I've spent with a laptop pressed up to my eyes so I can get a good read on people back in the day is out of this world. You have no idea how much time I've spent just looking at people who are bluffing or value betting and trying to get a read on them. So I hope we've learned a few things today. So first of all, don't fall for this blocker fetishization. Don't look at this like, I've got the jack of hearts so I have to fold. Count combos and make a decision based on that. Based on their range, based on how you think they're going to be playing and how you want to exploit their playing style. Don't fall for this bollocks about having the queen of diamonds like in the last hand and saying we have to fold because we have the queen of diamonds. It's just not a thing. Second of all, count combos. Count combos. When you're breaking down a hand, it's an underrated art because this is reality. We're not living in some fake reality of what GTO says against GTO if two robots are playing against each other. We're living in a reality where he can have this range of hands, and by this range of hands, we mean this range of combinations of hands. So the most grounded, rational, realistic approach you can have to poker, to granulate it, is to count combinations of hands that they can potentially have. And break down hands like that so you start building an intuition. And so when you do get to the river, you can start easily counting combinations of hands in your head. You can put it in your mental math calculator and be like, okay, I think I can probably end up, shoving this river pretty profitably, or not shoving this river. In this case, I don't think it's going to be profitable enough. So this is the way you want to be looking at poker. And then the third thing, really, really, really start looking for live tells. There is so much money to be made, assuming that the powers that may be let us out of their technocratic lockdowns eventually, that to be made in live tells, in reading people, because other people aren't very good at it. You'll see in these hands, they're barely looking at each other. They're barely looking at each other, and for a professional poker player not to be looking at other professional poker players or other recreational poker players whilst they're in a hand, not be looking at them pre-flop, on the flop, on the turn, and on the river, is just a travesty. There is so much expected value to be made in poker if you can be the person that reads people well. What if now you extend that and you now know what part of their range they're at when they open pre-flop, because you have a really solid read. And trust me, this is so doable. You really, really, really have to get into the nitty-gritty of first extrapolating the reads from the player, and then secondarily, which is really important, which a lot of people that are good at live players aren't very good at, applying those reads to the theory of poker. And if you can apply the psychology, the art of poker, to the mathematics and the rationality of poker, and you're creating this beautiful bubble of duality between the two phenomena, you are in a place of understanding reality. Now, poker is beautifully complex, and you cannot whittle it down just to a few stupid concepts like game theory. Not that game theory is stupid, but it's stupid to just whittle it down to a few concepts like, hey, game theory says you got to do this, or you got this blocker so you want to be doing this, or on the other side, you got a live read so you have to do this. You need to apply these data points to an overall strategy that you're creating, and that's where the money is in poker. If you want to be a millionaire in poker, if you want to be one of the best players in the world, you have to be able to take both sides of things. And not to mention, you also have to make sure that you're on your A game more often than they are. And how do you do that? Well, you can take caffeine all the time, but I guarantee that won't last very long. What you have to do is you have to make sure that you are healthy. Your mind is healthy, your body is healthy. What do you spend your time doing? Do you exercise? Do you meditate? Or do you watch porn loads? Do you spend loads of time watching YouTube and Twitch? Do you spend loads of time watching garbage on TikTok? Do you spend loads of time exercising? You know, there's so many different things you could be choosing to do with your body and your mind. The people that are feeding their body and their mind with good stuff, with healthy things that sharpen their intellect or cultivate their intuition or engage their body in physical activity so they can sit there for 15 hours at a time at a poker table and be on their A game the whole time. Well, suddenly you're going to be the person, if you're doing those things, that's going to be playing better poker than other people, or at least you'll be higher in your distribution of how good you can play in comparison to other people. Now, if you want to be an absolute poker millionaire, which I guarantee a lot of people listening to this want to be, you have to be taking all of these variables into account. You have to be looking at yourself. You are the asset. You're the asset of poker. You know, you're the poker player. You're the person that you have to be taken seriously. Are you looking at how to get live reads on people? Are you looking at the mathematics and rational side of poker? Are you spending your time talking hands with friends? Are you spending your time thinking about it? Are you getting up and meditating? If you're not meditating, you're burning money and you're not taking your poker career seriously enough, because meditation sharpens the mind. It makes people articulate. It makes people aware of the surroundings. It makes people mindful and present. If you bring that to a poker game, I guarantee you'll have an edge that almost everybody doesn't have. So how seriously are you taking your poker career? You have to be asking yourself this.